Thank you so much for coming back after lunch. I'm going to start with a very quick burst of gratitude. Thank you to Ravi and the ScooNews team. I think it's been incredible that they've got us to this point. Nobody's ran off and taken an early flight. So come on, guys, say a big thank you. Clap, clap, come on. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, ScooNews. Awesome. And thank you to the lovely panel, one of whom at about 6:10 this morning agreed to be on the panel. So, because I know you've done a lot of listening and a lot of eating, I'm going to try and get this to be as interactive as possible and run to time. I'm going to start with a very quick story. When Ravi called me about 10 days ago and said, here's the list of titles, which one do you want for the panel? This was the one I wanted. Can you pop it back on the screen, boys, please? And the reason I wanted this was for a very personal reason. I have always wanted to be a teacher. When I was in the UK, I always wanted to be a teacher. When I came to India 8 years ago, for the love of a good man, for those of you who are wondering why, and Chennai became my adopted native, I still fell into education, which is why I work with Arunab. However, becoming a consumer of education as a parent has been a challenge. Now, I have 2 kids, and my son is a fantastic example of nature over nurture. He's a natural sportsman. My husband and I often look at each other and go, how did we get him? We're at the point now where we've been told he's got the potential to be a professional sportsman in 3 different sports. But being a practical soul, I've started to have a conversation with him about what would you do if you weren't a sportsman? And those of you who work in early years education or with teenagers, there is nothing as blunt as that face who looks at you like you are an idiot for asking the question you have asked. And he looked at me and said, Amma, I'm going to be a sports teacher like Mr. Prabhu. And I was just like, wow, my kid wants to do what I want to do. I do every day. And it made me think, I'm told all the time that education is valued in India, yet in 8 years in this country, in all of the schools, which now amount to hundreds I've been in, I've never had a child tell me they want to be a teacher. And when people talk to my son, they say, oh, are you going to be a lawyer like your appa? Are you going to be a doctor like your grandfather? Are you going to be an engineer like your other grandfather? Not one person has ever said, are you going to be a teacher like your mummy? So when Ravi asked me to chair a panel, this, for me as an educator and somebody who works with leaders and schools, was like, yeah, why is my kid so odd to want to be a teacher? And the only thing I'd change about these 2 days is I wish Prabhu sir was here to hear that he's inspired my boy to be just like him. Our panel are going to have 2 minutes each, and then we're going to get it open to you. Why is it your kids, your students, don't want to be teachers? Take it away, Usha.
Well, let me start with a story. The story is about a god who decided to have professionals on a table and ask them, what do you do? So he asked the software engineer, what do you do? And he said, you know what I do? I make so many beautiful softwares for people to work easily with. He asked the astronaut, what do you do? He said, well, I'm actually scooting around with planets to make more place for people to live in. And then he asked the entrepreneur, what do you do? He said, well, you know, I make cars, and I'm making leviating cars right now. Then he asked the humble teacher, what do you do? He says, well, I made them all. And that is the power of teachers that we already know exists. There is no question about that. The question today is, what is the reality of teachers today? Are they happily teaching in the institutions that we are all leaders of? What is it that is keeping them away from children wanting to emulate them? That is the question today. A teacher today is pressed for time because...
Usha ma'am, I'm sorry, time, you've had your 2 minutes. Pass it on, like the best of party games.
So I'll start my time after this because I'll stand. It takes me some time to stand up. I asked her how long can I speak. She said you can go on, but I'll switch off the mic. I want to talk about what she said, why people don't want to be a teacher. Right in front of you is standing a person. I was part of an airlines, I was flying. I quit that job to become a teacher. And this I'm talking about 26 years back. What is lacking? What I find is, I want to go straight to the topic. Nobody is telling the teacher, what is in it? Why am I a teacher? Are we creating that passion amongst the people? Are we creating that kind of energy amongst the teachers? Most of the professional development, the teachers training which I go for, is all about the skills. How do you make a lesson plan? How do you do time management? How do you set goals? Nobody is telling the person, listen, why you are a teacher. Are you giving them time to reflect, to discover? Then when they go in the class, you will see a large number of youth wanting to be teachers. It's such a beautiful profession. And that's what I feel, a motivational thing, not just team building, making them realize. Each one of you in this room is a teacher, right? Let's put our hands up, let's see how many teachers. Everybody. Even you're a teacher, Body, because you taught us. It's a passion, it's an energy. And I think the teachers themselves are responsible for the sad state of affairs.
Can we have some energy and pass it too?
Thank you.
Monica very kindly agreed to come on the panel today at ridiculously short notice. It's not that she shaved off her beard. She actually isn't Rika Sarai. So, 2 minutes.
So if we see in our schools, during the pre-primary years, if you talk to children and ask them what do you want to become, believe me, around 80 to 90% of the girls say they want to be a teacher. But then when they grow up and they come to the primary section and the secondary section, and suddenly this idea is out of their mind. So it really gets me to start thinking, why does this happen? The thing is, in the pre-primary section, the teachers are so connected with children, giving them so much of love and attention, which somehow just vanishes when the child enters the primary section. As Dr. Swati also pointed out in the morning, that suddenly we start thinking that they're all grown up and that syllabus is huge. And the connection between a teacher, the emotional connection between a teacher and a child disappears. And there you have this image of a lady who's all the time strict and all the time stressed. That's the appearance that comes in our mind when we think of teachers. If I ask everyone to close their mind and think about what a teacher should look like or what she looks like, with no offense, what comes to our mind is probably a middle-aged lady, wearing a very hurriedly worn sari with her hair all out of place and rushing from one thing to the other. That's the projection we give to the children. And do we laugh? Do we have fun with them? Why would they want to take up a job which looks so boring and so stressed out?
That was perfectly ended.
Thank you.
You see, in my experience of working with some of our Delhi principals, I would say they are some of the most stylishly dressed ladies. And I have never seen as many designer handbags in a room when I'm with the ladies from Delhi. Now, Harinder's a bit worried. I'm going to ask him to comment on fashion. But, Harinder, it's your lucky day. Tell us, why don't kids want to be teachers?
I'll tell you about a school where students want to be teachers, right? I went to this school in a small town called Shuri in West Bengal, 30 minutes ahead of the place where Rabindranath Tagore was born. This school is run by one of my seniors from Ahmedabad. And I went to visit this school for 2 days, and my senior met me only in the last half an hour to an hour of my visit. The first 2 days, I was only and only with students of that school who told me everything about the school, who told me how the curriculum runs, what do the teachers do, who took me around various parts of the very small school they had, who told me what impacts them as students and what do the teachers do. And in all of this, they were so proud of the fact that they built this oasis in a desert. In a small town of 1 lakh population, here was this school which this year has around 5 children from their topmost class, scoring more than 1530 in the SAT scores, right? This is a school where children are so proud of the fact that they have broken the norm, they are doing so well, where the children are on Twitter, and they feel so proud that they talk about their school, the pedagogy, the teachers. And what this school has done beautifully is that it hires the toppers from the colleges in Calcutta, brings them to this town, trains them very hard, and that tells the students that even if you do very well in life, this is a profession where toppers come and join you, right? So that's something that really struck me when I was there in the school, and this was an eye opener for me, because last 5-7 years that I've been into education, I really find that it has become a profession of a career of compromise for a lot of people than a career of choice. So I think that needs to change, and teachers and schools need to be leading that change.
But one thing I'm not compromising on today is time and getting you all to think and talk. So I was told to hand the mic to this gentleman, who apparently would have a comment on this, and I'm going to ask you to start thinking about questions, and get just in the best fashion of schools, put your hand up if you have a question for our panel, and we'll get them to answer it. So what do you think about this, sir? Can you say your school, your organisation?
My name is Anand, and I'm with this organisation called Gurukul Youth Development Society. We've had the absolute honour of being supported by ScooNews for a while, and finding ourselves a mention in Matthew Raggett's book as well. So one of the things, just to stay on topic, 2 things that I've noticed amongst children as to why is it that, and I think Monique was right? Well, as they grow up, they stop wanting to be teachers. And that's because they sort of, there are 2 things really I see. One is, there isn't much of a glamour or a clarity around what is it that a teacher actually delivers. That is not there. And the second thing is, your gestation period before which you can start seeing results is enormously huge, and sometimes it's just very vague. So my background's in computer science. I've always been a computer scientist before I got into this space. I can see things working immediately. I can see my clients happy the next day or at the next meeting. I see results coming in on a quarterly basis. A teacher cannot really be able to finish a day's lesson and say that 30 years down, the student is going to be this. There is no such pattern that we have. So it's largely a space which is run on good intentions, and that doesn't really sell well as a career.
Comment from one of the panel for that, please. We don't sell it as a career.
Profession. My child's, the aha moment of a teacher is inside a closed classroom with the kids and herself. There's nobody else there. It is such a, and I think if you ask me why the young people are not going in, and we should say, I wish there were some government officials here, I think it's the gap in the kind of payment which is made to the teacher. So it is a fact, and you are raising your hand to say don't say or say. Let me just finish. So that is one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why the cream of the society is not joining this profession. It is, I think, a very, very most satisfying job which you do not get in the corporate. The aha moment, the hug from a kid, you can never have it in any profession. I think that is...
That's awesome. Okay, are we out with time or you want to say something? Wow, sorry, my heart stopped there. I'm watching my Fitbit. I'm watching my Fitbit and I'm like, oh no, I've made it wrong.
What I found missing, it's an observation, I'm not in a capacity to raise a question. No one mentioned about relationship with the community when you talked about teaching as a profession. I'll give you an example. Sorry, don't want to do any self-promotion. We have a school 2 hours from here. It's called the Fab India School. She encouraged me to share the story and I'm wearing the shirt of the Fab India School. So at the Fab India School, we have a history. Out of a staff strength of 35 to 38, we've always had 7 to 9 of our ex-students come back and work with us as teachers. And the reason behind that is only one, is the relationship of the school with the community. And this is what does not happen in many mainstream schools. Purkul mentioned they are there in Matthew's book, we are also there in Matthew's book, so I'm competing with you for this space. So there's only one prescription to get teachers to work, or kids or younger generation or future generations to come, is your relationship with your community in your area.
That was snappy and a lovely shirt. There's a lady in a green sari, but because Matthew Raggett has been tagged so many times. Matthew, what's your thoughts on this? Guys, can we get a mic out onto the floor, please? I've only got short legs. Come on, oh, okay. I was saying, if you want to do a job, do it yourself. Right, Matthew, Chirac from Giraffe, and the lady in green, go.
I think that talking the profession up is something that we haven't done very well. But I think that the profession gets talked down so frequently because we are doing the job that parents should be doing so often. And then we don't get talked up as a result of that one. We get a lot of flack as a profession because we're actually trying to do 2 jobs at once. That's tough. I think if you listen to some of the things that Simon Sinek says about what are people looking for in their careers, you couldn't want a better career than teaching. It is autonomous, you get a lot of impact, you get to work with intelligent, articulate, passionate people, and you get to work with other teachers as well. You also get the opportunity to travel enormously. You get the opportunity to stay young at heart for all of your life, unless you end up going into school leadership, but then you do ask yourself, why did I do this in the first place? You make an enormous difference. And I think the other bit that we don't think about often enough, when we're guiding children into their jobs, most children are going to end up as parents, aren't they? I mean, if we're realistic, that's probably true. So what's a great career as a parent? Now I know that many of my colleagues have been told throughout their lives, teaching, lovely career for a girl, but I'm a father of 3 kids. My kids have spent more time with me over the years as a result of the profession that I've chosen than anyone else's fathers, who are often absent. I think it's a great career for being a parent and being a human being. And we need to talk those kind of things up. That gets missed so often. It's just the best job in the world.
I must admit, I remember being told by a family elder, nice job for a girl. Fits in with the school holidays. Panel, coming back to you. Soundbite, best thing about being a teacher, starting with Harinder. Give me a soundbite, best thing about being a teacher.
Best thing about being a teacher?
I think the best thing about being a teacher is the kind of impact we can have on so many lives and create what we want to create a society that we want to see. So it's impacting so many minds.
Brilliant. Harinder, this is a really good technique. Pick on one.
For me, it's very quick. I think you stay young and you stay fashionable. You're always attractive because you know the latest, right?
I think the love I get, not just from the teachers, not just from the children, but also the teachers I teach, and also from the parents. Once you establish a relationship with the child, you won everyone over.
Arinda?
I think it's a genuine difference one can make, the satisfaction that we get from that.
Awesome. Chirag?
So I have a question back, which is, why do you want to make teachers amazing so that you guys can take over from there? I'm like, even if it's degrading and they still want to go ahead with it, so be it. So why only we want to do the hard work of getting the professional status of teachers improved only for them? I'm saying, I'll do it for myself. I'll make the status amazing for myself. And if later, if somebody wants to pick it up, so be it. So the question back to the panel, why do you want to improve it for others, for the next generation? Why not improve it for yourself and this generation itself?
So I think there are four different people involved here in getting this thing done. First and foremost, if I want people to be inspired by me to become good teachers, I think I have to impact the lives. I have to impact, even if one child gets impacted, maybe I will inspire that child to become a teacher, right? So completely depends on me how much I put in to create that impact. Number one. Number two, I need to help children identify purpose in life. What is it that they want to do? And you never know, many of them really wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to get into education right after campus, couldn't because of certain reasons. I'm back here because the passion was always there, right? So can we create an environment where people can take the risk and do it? Number three, it's the parents. And the parents get solace from seeing teachers doing well. So honestly, hand on your heart, tell me how many principals here have advertised board results saying that thank you teachers and not published photographs of the students. Is it the students alone? I mean, is it teachers' hard work? Right? So how many of we publicly acknowledge their contribution, right? So that needs to go up. And number four is society in general needs to really look up to this profession like they used to earlier, right? The old system of, somebody was saying today, guru being even more respected in India in the past, even more than parents. So that has to come back and that respect has to be earned and not demanded.
Brilliant, thank you for that. That's really great. Just handing over here the mic to Sonia Mam from Kaitan Public School in Delhi.
Thank you, Annie. And I would like to add on to the point raised by Sandeep sir. I would say that it is the connect that makes teacher have most of the output of the class be converted as teaching or teachers in future. I am a teacher by 27 years of my experience heading a school now, and I can proudly say that I am a teacher because of a teacher, where she taught me for 3rd to 5, and I can say that how I speak, how I walk, how I do, I'm just replica of the same. And I'm proud to say that I have employed around 20 students of ours who are working as teachers in our school, and more proud to feel that one of my students is here in this hall also. That's what I just want to say and mention.
So who's the student she's so proud of? Are they shy? Where are they? Stand up. Come on, where's your student? Aww. There you go. I'm going to come to you soon and ask why you decided to become a teacher. Over to you.
Right. I'm taking the second sentence in your topic. Strategies to improve. I take away the professional, the status of teachers. The 5 of you, one grounded strategy you would adopt to improve the status of teachers, hopefully in 1 or 2 sentences. Thank you, including you, Annie. A response to that.
I think we can urge the media to glamorize this profession the way they glamorize, let's say, the armed forces. When you see those ads and suddenly you have these goosebumps and you want to be an army officer. The same way, I think we can have some nice, ads come up which would want children to become teachers. That could be one of the ways.
I would say all schools to work for 5 days. Give the 6th day to the teacher to glamorize herself.
I think, Colonel, sir, I think a very important strategy which I would suggest, because I'm from the other part of the world and then I became a teacher and I just love it. It's like you get used to a taste. The more you go deeper, the more you start loving the profession. It's like that. So it will not catch on to you in the first few weeks. But what is very important, that I think somewhere we need to reflect, which I said, and it is very, very much existent. Think of the days when we were teachers. I also used to crypt so much of checking, so much of this. We used to need to raise our own status in our own eyes, think and start talking about it, that how proud I am to be a teacher. I want to just share, because when I come back from work and if I'm late, my neighbor asks me even now, "Aap school mein kaam karte hain na, itni late kyun aate hain?" I mean, it's not fair. The society is observing us, and I think it's a very important topic, Annie, which you have picked up, because we have to really raise, but first we have to raise ourselves in our own eyes. I think that's very important.
Be more secure about ourselves.
Yeah, so I think if we, so there are 3 people involved, the teacher, the student and the parent. I think if we completely change the order, teacher first, student second and parent third, that itself will change the paradigm a little bit. Because the road to child centricity passes through teacher centricity. And unless we develop and empower our teachers, I don't think we are really going to give them the canvas where they can really express themselves.
Okay.
Just last one addition, one sentence. I think we need to get out of the fear of what the parents will say. And we need to let the teacher do what is right rather than what the parent wants.
Okay, there's an elephant in the room, which seems appropriate because obviously it's India. Money. And it's not, I'm not talking about the idea of earn a lot of money, therefore this gives you status. I was lucky enough in January to be part of the FICCI delegation to London, which really caused issues because they kept going, Delhi, Nehru World School, Indian flag, whiteface. But when I talk about we, I'm talking about India. This is my home. This is the system that I'm invested in, both in terms of my work and my kids. If you look at somewhere like Finland, we had the Deputy Mayor of Helsinki speak, and her portfolio is education. In Finland, it's urban planning, it's the fact that you get a great education, that you are valued as a teacher, and you get a commensurate amount of money to the effort and the work you are putting in. So money does count. The thing that we are doing in India, and I've had this discussion with the guys from Cambridge, I haven't had it with the IB colleagues, is this, you're an IB teacher, you get this much. You're a Cambridge teacher, you're round about here. And your CBSE or matriculation, Until we value all of our teachers, until we pay all of our teachers a decent salary, we are going to have this issue. But it isn't about creating an educational apartheid between boards. Good teaching is good teaching. Good pastoral care is good pastoral care. And I am worried for this country as we head down this route that somehow, if you're a CBSE teacher, you're not as good as the IB teacher, you're not as good as Cambridge. Teachers are teachers, And frankly, I'm with you. Let's glamorise it. Let's have a reality show with some of the Delhi school principals. It would be a ratings winner. Get down into Chennai and see some Kanchipuram saris smirking along the corridor. Absolutely, and I'm with you, Ishmael. Let's get to the parlour and get our eyebrows done. Now, I'm going to give one last person, because it's the one person in the room who has become a teacher. You're going to get my last word before I close the panel.
I'm normally known to speak very disruptive, and I'll be speaking something very bland here. So, less than 2 minutes. I'm a banya. So, I wanted to be a teacher because I saw a lot of ability in students that can actually change the world, and especially Indians. I'm very nationalist that way. The only reason I did not choose to be in a school because of the money. I would have never made a lot of money there, and I love money, I love making money, and I love spending money. And I chose to do something else, and now we do a lot of work, we train a lot of students, we work with them 365 days a year. But yes, I make a lot of money. So my point is, if we start, and I have a lot of school owners sitting here, if we start radically changing the pay skills of the teachers, I'm sure we can bring in a very good talent in the industry. One of the school principals told me that if you start paying a teacher 5 lakh rupees a month, would we have the same challenge?
Just going back, I'm going to just finish off, just to echo what Shalini said. If you paid 5 lakh a month, yeah, you'd still have some of these issues, because there is nothing as exhausting and rewarding, but you nailed it. What other profession lets you change the world? Can I just say thank you to the panel for playing with me so beautifully today, for running along with this madness. And I'd also like to say thank you to everybody here, because what I would ask you to do now, if we're really going to answer any of the questions we've had on the floor today and yesterday, is let's stop talking it and start walking it. Thank you again, ScooNews. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you so much. You did a fabulous job as a moderator. Can I ask the panelists to stay, please? I request Amara Habib, Head of Business, Mad About Egg, to come and felicitate the panelists, and Annie Natrajan, please. Thank you. Can we have people clapping here?